I'm Evelyn,
And I'm Robert.
and we're talking about it.
And this episode is going to be on the chapter Many Partings.
Yes, it is.
So, what were your predictions?
So I want to just say I was proud of my predictions. Based now that I read the chapter, I feel like even though in the moment I was very confused and I thought that these were some gimmies, I'm very proud of my reading comprehension level because just stays with that. I'm proud of my reading comprehension because I feel like I made smart predictions this time. That being said, I did forget I had something I wanted to say.
Okay.
I would like to take back my apology about Flotsam and Jetsam
Why?
because I realized today that those would be orc or goblin names.
No, they wouldn't be.
They would
But
be.
they're not.
We
No.
have orcs and goblins with
No.
names like Bug.
No, and no. If they were used by orcs or goblins, yes, but they weren't. And it also was meant to mean something else. So it did not end up being anybody's name, so you don't get the points.
I'm next D&D campaign I'm in. We're having Flotsam and Jetsam goblins.
That's fine. It's still not in the book.
With those type of names and the type of names the goblins and orcs have,
No,
like,
the point,
I feel like me thinking that
the bigger point
is
is
I didn't know what they were.
that
Okay.
you are a marine scientist and did not know what those words meant. If I was you, I would question everything you learned at ODU.
Okay. So anyway, so said predictions. This one I may argue for a half a point later. So it's Gimli and Legolas leave to go exploring.
Uh-huh.
The second prediction is Eowyn and Faramir get married. And then the third prediction, which we can talk about, is Sam is going to be the most conflicted of the party about leaving because while he still wants to stay and learn more about the world, he'll also miss home.
Okay.
So those are my predictions.
All right. So, you got anything to start with?
I'm looking at your notes and I think we have the same thing, which is Frodo has decided it is time to leave,
Not before that.
mostly because he wants to visit Bilbo.
Well, but he meets them underneath the tree.
But to tell them that. He meets Aragorn
I know,
and Eowyn,
but I think it's important to
tell them
know.
that.
I think it's important to know that they are sitting under the tree and she is singing. That's important because it's important. It's culturally important for them.
Okay. But the reason they're meeting is because he wants to tell them that he's ready to leave.
Well, they're not meeting. He goes out looking for them. It's not like they have a called meeting.
Like he goes out looking for them for this express purpose.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he wants to head home, but he wants to go back to Rivendell first to see Bilbo.
Right. And Eowyn basically confirms that without the ring, Bilbo's age is really catching up to him.
Right.
Yeah.
So Aragon offers travel and gifts for them to go with.
Right. He says he'll ride as far as Rohan with them and basically tells Frodo anything you need ever, it's yours.
Yes.
And
he will ride as a prince of the land.
Mm-hmm.
And then Arwen tells Frodo that
that she is giving him a gift. He's like, you don't have to ask for this, you're getting it.
Right. So by her giving him her jewel,
Mm-hmm.
she will not be able to go to the havens.
Right.
But she chooses not to. And she says she is going, I forget exactly how it's worded, but she's going to take the same faith as Lythian, who was an ancient elf.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, she was a daughter of Vandar,
Okay.
of Vidar. Am I saying that right? Okay. Uh, so yeah, his father was her father was the king of the Grey Elves at the time,
Mm.
Eluthingar. But she she fell in love with a human,
Mhm.
and she decided to become human.
Right. To become mortal with
Yeah, to become mortal. And so that's what Arwen is saying, is
him. Mhm.
that she's going to remain mortal.
Yeah.
And now, just a really quick token note:
Mhm.
his wife Edith had beautiful raven hair when they first married.
Mhm.
So he imagines this person, this elf,
Mhm.
to look like his wife.
Oh,
And there
adorable.
was and there was such a connection uh, with them to the two characters. I didn't write his name down because I thought I remember, but I don't. Um, Leothan, and it's Bendir, I think. Uh, on their gravestone, underneath their names, is Bendir and Leothan.
S- That is so cute. I like that.
Yeah,
It's adorable.
yeah. So
Adorable. Oh.
it said, you never heard no friends or anybody or acquaintance ever heard him refer to her with that name,
Mm-hmm.
but he says in a couple of places that that's who in his mind, that's who he was thinking of.
Oh. Yeah, but yeah, Arwen, she decides that she's gonna become immortal and stay with Aragorn. And so she gives her place to Frodo in the Grey Havens should he want it.
Should he want it? Now, what's interesting is also this is when we find out that Frodo has still not completely healed from that original wound.
Yeah,
So from that piece of dagger that had broke off in him,
right.
and that is still weighing on
Which
him.
which kind of surprises me a little bit. I was a little surprised to read that because a lot of times in fantasy novels, you see that when the person that inflicts a magical type injury dies, that all of the damage they did gets either reversed or stopped or whatever. But this particular evil with his wound still lingers, which I think is really interesting because it kind of shows that
But it's a
this
magical wound. That's
well
it's an it's an evil magical
it's an
wound.
evil magical wound, but it doesn't go away when the Witch King dies and then or when Sauron dies, and it kind of shows that to me it kind of symbolizes that the scars of evil still last well after the evil is
Yeah,
defeated, which causes more problems
right,
and still can cause problems moving forward.
right. And then we also have this little conversation between Eomir and Gimli,
Hmm.
discussing which queen is the fairest.
Okay.
You got something for that?
Well, I had a question about this conversation.
Okay.
So yeah, they're talking about that, but at one point, and maybe I just totally misunderstood. But at one point, Eormir asks Gimli to help with the Golden Wood, and it's during this conversation, and I got really confused by that particular line.
Help with the golden wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that? What's the Golden Wood?
The golden wood is it refers to the forest that the elves live in.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lothlorien. Oh, that's right, because it was all gold and silver themed. So what does he need? But again, he just asked for help, but he doesn't say what kind of help he needs.
I think he's just trying to do some companionship stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's how I read it.
Okay.
But yeah, so Gimli talks about the beauty of the two queens,
Hmm.
and And how Eomer ends up resolving it is saying, well, you take the morning star and I'll take the evening star.
Cute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Okay. But what we probably should have mentioned earlier is Aragorn lets Frodo know that the Rohan are coming back to take Theoden to be buried in his
right,
ancestral home, and that they're coming in just a couple days and they can all leave together. And so the time comes where they do return to grab Theoden, and they ride out in ceremonial procession. And not only is the procession itself huge with the amount of people accompanying him, which they state is like far bigger than any king of this realm had ever seen, but also the crowd that comes out to watch them leave is just huge, out of just respect for Theoden.
right. And so then what else we hear about is that
Hmm.
Mary is going to be the bannerman.
Yes, Mary is the bannerman,
Yeah, so
um,
he'll
riding with the body.
with the yes, he will lead the body.
Hmm.
And Pippin will ride with the Knights of Gondor.
Yes, he rides with the Knights of Gondor, and then Frodo and Sam ride next to Aragorn.
Right, and Legolas and Gimli are riding together as well, but they're riding on a great horse this time. They're riding on
Yes,
Arod,
yeah.
which not to be confused with the Yankee baseball player.
I've honestly forgot about him until you just said that, so I wouldn't have. Like, no shade, I just don't follow the sports. But yes, everyone is writing to honor him. And then here comes my next question. They come across the forest of Duradon with like all the drumming, and Aragorn um basically declares that the forest is for them to decide what who comes in and out and for them, which is cool and everything. And I kind of remember this forest being mentioned and us talking about it, but I kind of forgot because I feel like that was like so long ago, both time and space wise, with us talking about, but also story wise. So could you
Right.
just remind me about these people? Because I honestly can't remember
They,
anything about the except for the fact that it was like mentioned before.
right. So what's happening here is Aragon is giving them back their land. That land that land was at one time belonged to others, and I don't remember who the others are. And but Aragon's ancestor had given this land to them, and so now he's giving it back.
Oh, okay.
Uh, I don't remember quite well enough to tell you what the
It's just kind of one of those wrapping up a loose end kind of things, I
significance.
guess.
Yeah, yeah,
And just showing that Aragorn himself is a man of his word.
right. They are the ones that led them through the secret passes of the Stone Valley.
Oh.
So,
Okay. Cool, cool, cool.
and so when they arrive,
Which I would just want to point out, it's a 15-day journey, which I think is just so interesting because they talk about how this journey, unlike the going, the like going back, it's not in a hurry. It's not a race against something. This time it is a slow, respectful march
right?
procession of a king.
Yes, and not only that, they are. I mean, also this is not a war party. This is not a war party, kind of like what you said.
Hmm.
Um, but because it is, you know, these heroes, and I imagine that they're doing a very formal. So that's going to
Yeah.
take longer anyway.
Right, of
You know,
course.
especially
Yeah.
if they're putting up. a king's tent every night
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, so they're just taking their time uh, going through.
But like I said, I kind of like that it's pointed out that it is taking longer because they have the time to
Yeah,
make these
right. They
formalities.
don't have to. They're not rushing to war, basically.
Right.
Uh,
So they do have the funeral, and the funeral is exceptionally sad. A lot of songs are sung in the Rohan language, which, even though they don't translate for us, Tolkien writes that everyone that doesn't understand knows full well that they are beautifully sad songs. Mary is especially sad at the funeral. But later
yeah,
that,
I wrote Mary Weeps.
yeah, Mary weeps. Uh huh. And um at the end, the meal afterwards, though, Aragorn comes out and says some good has to come of this, and that's when we get the surprise wedding.
Yes.
Faramir and Eowyn, I get a full point. Disputed, yeah. Sorry. That's exciting for me.
So, um, so Eowyn asked Aragorn to bless the union as well.
Yes. And really, by the way it's written, you can see that she's letting go of her like idolized love for him.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But she also mentions about, you know, up until that moment, really,
Hmm.
she didn't know anything other than being the niece of the king.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and all those things that was dependent upon her because of that position.
Hmm.
And and it doesn't really talk about it much, but I can imagine that you know, it's also a relief off her shoulders.
True.
Because she's marrying, she's marrying Faramir, and
So she's marrying, even though he's still the steward, she's not expected to be like the queen.
mm-hmm,
She's um so she doesn't have like those like kind of big huge expectations upon her, and she's marrying for like true love versus this idealized love kind of thing. And it's a really sweet time. And then while they're still in Rohan, Elrond and Eowyn say their goodbyes because the elves are splitting at this point.
right.
And it just talks about how they spent many hours on a hill talking, and that it was a very bitter goodbye. And it's so sad because we know Elrond is, because we know they're never going to see each other again.
Yeah,
And unlike with other elves where they would expect to see them in the Grey Havens someday, Elrond won't.
you're right.
And it is sad.
So, but also, so both of them are now mortal
Right.
because you know because
What do you mean, Elrond too?
yeah, Elrond too. He was. So I don't want to say he's mortal because he was mortal, but he was long lived.
Uh-huh.
Because of
Because he was elf blood.
because of the blood, the
Right.
elf blood, um, and because they've made the decision to stay in Middle Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that protection or whatever you want to call it about being a, a not having you know mortality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could still die
Mm-hmm.
in battle or something like that, but they would not grow old. But now they're going to grow old.
Gotcha, gotcha.
And then Legolas and Gimli head off to the Glittering Caves.
Well, first, well, yeah. So they're all getting ready to leave. And so yeah. I just wanted to mention first, Mary is given an ancient
Oh, yes,
horn
yes.
from Eowyn as an heirloom. there's like showing this like he is part of the family now,
But
and
not
they've been through so much together
right.
with all of this.
But not only that. I mean, you know, it's kind of like a magic trumpet if
Mm-hmm.
you think about it. I mean, it's so this is this is the horn that was blown to call together warriors
Mm-hmm.
and so forth, and it could be heard from long distances.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, so this is the part where I wanted to talk about possibly getting a half point. So, Gimli and Legolas, first they go to the Glittering Caves, and I find all of their interactions so funny
Oh yeah,
because, like, they come back and Legolas is literally speechless. He's like, I can't, guys. Only a dwarf has the ability to have the words
right, yeah,
to describe it. And Gimli is like he's torn between finding this hysterical and like worrying. Like he's like almost worried. Like he's worried for his friend that it's like he doesn't have the words to describe it. He's like, dude, I made an elf speechless. Is he okay? Like, like
yeah,
kind of thing. And so Gimli then agrees that they would in fact go to Fangorn and explore the woods there so Legolas could wax poetic.
right,
So Gimli and Legolas, they are planning on they're planning on continuing with the party through to Fangorn before parting. So that would be a full point, wouldn't it actually?
yeah. I guess
Since
so.
it's the plan, that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, what I would love to read, I would, I would really like to see one of the grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
One of Tolkien's grandchildren write that story.
Of just them exploring the world.
Yeah.
That'd be cute.
No, I mean, it would
That'd be
just,
fun.
I mean, because they're both long lived.
Yeah, they're both long lived. We can finally get more of the world. And it would be an interesting aspect of it too, because we know that this is because Gandalf either says it in this chapter or a previous chapter, like it was right around here where oh yeah, it is this chapter where Gandalf even says, like, this is a new age, this is the age of men. So it could be interesting from their standpoint too to see the beginnings of this new age
Right.
as well. Could be an interesting way to see that.
Yep. But so they're going to go find Greenbeard. I mean Treebeard, Greenbeard.
Green.
They're going to
Yeah.
go. They're going to go find
Well, yeah.
Treebeard to see what's going on with
Yeah.
him.
They're like, in the area. Let's check how Isengard is doing. And when I tell you, I was not expecting this. I should have been expecting what was about to happen. And I'm so glad what happened. So they go to Isengard and see what the Ents are up to. And nature has reclaimed the land.
Yep.
I am full for that. I am 100% for the orcas attacking the yachts in the Atlantic. I am for this otter who's in California who's harassing surfers, who I just learned this morning. Her mother was originally captured because of a safety issue because her mother was harassing kayakers and surfers. And she was originally born in captivity and then re-released with her mother in a safe area. But this otter has been eluding capture since September, of like so almost a year as of recording this, like a few months shy of a year. And this otter's been eluding capture in the most hilarious Scooby-Doo like Bugs Bunny type of shenanigans, and I'm here for it. Anyway, but yeah, so they meet
Talk about
Treebeard.
going down a rabbit hole. So Treebeard. God, I still am not
Greenbeard, Treebeard.
Treebeard.
These are probably other ends.
Yes, yeah, that's it. That's it.
They're-
These are some of the unknown ants. Man, I cannot talk.
It's been a really long couple days for us guys. Okay, but yeah, so Treebeard comes in and then he goes off on the orcs, and I just have to quote it because I need to remember this to be able to insult someone. So he just goes, evil-eyed, black-handed, bow-legged, flint-hearted, claw-fingered, foul-bellied, bloodthirsty, and then he goes off into Antish where it becomes unintelligible for another 5 minutes. And honestly, that's a mood. Yeah, he's going off for 5 whole minutes, just insulting how much he just cannot stand the orcs and the goblins. And it's so funny to
Right.
me.
So also, Gandalf avoids the question of where he's going. I think that's important
Mm,
at this point too.
yeah. I didn't write that down, but I did notice that Treebeard kind of asks like what Gandalf's going to do next, and he doesn't, and he kind of brushes it off.
Yeah. But
But then,
But we also know that Saruman
well,
is gone.
well, here's the thing. We get asked of Saruman, and Treebeard doesn't just say he's gone. He openly admits that he basically talked him nearly to death and then felt so bad for him that he basically talked him to death and that he released him just a shell of a man. And the reason this makes me laugh so much is because we know that Treebeard is based off of C.S. Lewis. So Tolkien's basically just like, yeah, my BFF, he'll talk you to death.
I think it's the other way around too.
They both would. They
But
both would.
but
But it's just so funny.
the keys to the tower are given to Aragorn.
Yes.
Uh, and Gimli and Legolas are planning to visit the Entwood.
Yeah. And then at this point, Entwives are mentioned a couple more times in this chapter, which I think is really interesting that we're seeing a lot of that. And even though with these chapters, we're getting a lot of loose ends tied up, this is left still very much a mystery. And from what I remember us talking about before, Tolkien never mentions, like, never answers it. He leaves it
Never.
the question of where the Entwives went.
Oh,
He leaves it purposefully open ended.
right.
And my interpretation, knowing about how much of an environmentalist he is, I'm curious to know if there's any writings or letters that would confirm this, but I feel like it's almost a warning that like them disappearing is kind of the first sign that something's going. Yeah, that something might go wrong,
Right.
or that if we don't change now, more will disappear.
Right.
And as an environmentalist myself, I appreciate that a lot because, like, we see that a lot with like certain species where they're indicator species, amphibians especially.
Frogs, especially.
Yeah, frogs especially, but amphibians in general, like they are the ones that'll disappear first when things aren't right.
Right.
Um, but yeah, he is reunited with Merry and Pippin, and he's like, "Y'all want some more of that magical growth water?" And they're like, "Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah. No, they go drinking with Greybeard.
with Greybeard now."
That's what I have written down. Even
Oh my gosh, you did right. I can confirm that's in his notes, y'all. Okay, so new game. How many names can we come up with? Treebeard.
beard tree, beard tree,
Beard tree.
beard tree, beard tree. You know how you have a hat tree?
Huh?
Now you have a beard tree.
Okay.
Put your beard on. We're getting really stupid.
We are. Um, but yeah, so at this point, Aragorn and the rest of the Gondor party are like, unfortunately, this is as far as we can go. We do need to return now. There's a lot to do. But what I think is really interesting is Aragorn goes straight up to Pippin and is like, I am not releasing you from my service, sir. You are just on leave because I want an excuse to call you back and see you every once in a while. And I think that's just so fun of Aragorn because I feel like Aragorn we see as very serious a lot. And so, like, getting a joke out of him was a little unexpected, but I felt like one, it was the type of joke that like Pippin would make. So it's kind of with that a little bit. And then also it's like Aragorn's not under so much stress that he can make a joke, you know?
Right.
Is
And
this the first joke he's told?
I don't know, but
Okay.
going back talking about Mary Pippin drinking uh
The
with
growth water.
with Treebeard.
Hmm.
Um, so I know a lot of people have these where did the hobbits go type of thing,
Hmm.
especially if you know,
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this because I think we mentioned it before on the podcast, but go with it again because I like this.
yeah, that because of the drink,
Hmm.
you know, and over the centuries, you know, with breeding and stuff like
Hmm.
that, they all become
Taller
taller. You know, the
and
whole
just integrate into society
right and
with men.
in which what
Because aren't hobbits considered a substitute of men in Tolkien's world?
no
Oh, I thought they were.
no
Okay, never mind.
because they have completely different ancestors.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I might be thinking of something totally different then. Never mind.
but
But yes,
but what's
I,
important about but to me
mm-hmm.
the reason I think that's um a good
Theory.
a good theory is because Tolkien calls himself a hobbit.
Yeah, he does.
So, you know, I would think he would reason it out that way. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is how I become a hobbit.
I'm a descendant of the hobbits.
That's right.
And I know I've probably made the same joke before, but I mean, that even happened in early human civilization, where even though Homo sapiens are the only Homo genus that has prevailed to modern day, they interbred with Neanderthals, and there's a lot of speculation they might have interbred with some of the other ones. And so like 0.2% of the human population has Neanderthal DNA in them, which I think is really
Yeah.
interesting. And with new archaeological discoveries within the past like decade or so, we're seeing that the Neanderthals were actually much more complex in their technology and culture than we initially thought.
Why are we going down this rabbit hole?
I'm just saying, I think it's really cool. This is one of those things. So, like, remember how we mentioned that Tolkien basically wrote what a velociraptor was? Well, not a velociraptor. What are the flying ones? Or
The
is that no
pterodactyl.
pterodactyl? Totally off. Um, but he basically wrote a pterodactyl years before a pterodactyl fossil was ever found.
Right.
And I think this is fun too because we had no idea about the Neanderthal connection until like I think the 70s or 80s. Like it's a pretty new development with that. So I just think it's really interesting that again he writes something that is supposed to be this mythology for England and by extension the rest of the world, and then things actually happened.
Right.
Which leads me to again believe he is a Time Lord.
So we have come to the end of this chapter.
No, there's still some more.
Some more?
Yeah, there's the whole that's part of this chapter, or did I just read into the next chapter? You skipped the page in your notebook. That's the problem.
I have a blank piece of paper between what we've already talked about and what we haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so they come
But
upon Saruman.
well, so Argon, Aragon, and the other noble gases, we turn back. That was funny, and you know it.
I know. That's right.
So they leave, and Gandalf is like, like I like hobbits. Go with you as far as Bree, and decides to go with them. And they come across a helpless old beggar, and they realize it's Saruman.
Saruman.
And they straight up refuse to help him.
Fireman, where are you going?
Yeah, they're like, dude, where are you going? And he's like, help me. And they're like, nah.
This is I love this because Mary does it,
Yes,
and it's just so much shade.
it is. Yep.
Mary gives Saruman his last pipe and the last bit of his pipe weed.
Yeah. Which, because he's just like, you wouldn't even give me a pipe and some of that pipe weed. And Mary's like, no, I have some extra. You want some?
No, he gives him the last of.
Right. Yeah. He gives him the last of it. And he's like, yeah, here you go. Courtesy of your own flotsome. That's the connection. That's why I was thinking about it. But yeah, he's like, courtesy of your own flotsome. And he's like, it's mine. I bought it. And they kind of think again, like, okay, you hate hobbits, but you like our stuff. Make it make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Um, but Gandalf like decides to just kind of let him go. He's even though he's not sure he's still harmless. He's like just let him go at this point. Um and we see Wormtongue is with him as well.
Yep.
And
His toady.
yeah, and Gandalf's like, you don't have to follow him around, you know. And he's like, but I have to. And he's like, no, you really don't. You've done like you're just choosing to do this. And he just kind of sadly goes behind Saruman, and it's like, yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah, so then we get to, the hobbits finally get to visit Bilbo.
Well, no. First, the other elves that were headed toward Lothlorien, that's when they split.
Yep.
The elves are about to go to Lothlorien, and this is where I think I get my third point because Sam wants to go with them so bad. He really wants to visit Lothlorien again. He really wants to explore, but he also really, really misses home.
Yeah.
So they decide to continue on to Rivendell, where they finally see Bilbo.
They finally see Bilbo. Bilbo asks, whatever happened to that ring that I have?
Right. And he says it's his 129th birthday. It's his birthday again. Which I wanted to ask because I don't think the math is mathing for me.
You can bet that it's mathing right. Remember, Tolkien has a chart on his wall of day to day what's happening during the book.
Okay. So we know that it's Frodo's 32nd birthday and Bilbo's 111th birthday.
Right, but we also don't know how long between that birthday party and Gandalf comes back to say, "Let me see that ring."
No, but we do know that Frodo leaves when he's 50. When he was the same age that Bilbo left for adventure. That we do know because we make a huge point of that when that happens. And so that to me is more than 129. But that being said, we do see that Bilbo is starting to be more forgetful and like I said, his age is getting to him.
Right. Well,
and so I wonder if the math is not mathing on purpose to slowly, subtly introduce that.
I can tell you it's perfect. Everything I've read about Tolkien, about how he has his scheme, that he even published his scheme. Well, Christopher published his scheme.
Mm-hmm.
There would have been no mistake there. And I don't.
That's why I wonder if that's why I wonder if he says 129 and it should be older and it's our first mention of him starting to become forgetful.
No, I don't think that's it.
Well, because this is only 18 years. Is that 18 years from 32 to 50? I guess it would be, wouldn't it? Oh, maybe that is right. Dang, maybe I should have actually done the math. Yeah, okay, the math. But now it's been like a full year though. I feel like there's a year
Doesn't
missing.
matter.
Okay.
It's a book. I can't believe I said that.
Okay. But yeah, so they hang out with Bilbo and kind of fill him in on the adventure. And we do see Bilbo getting a little forgetful about some things. But after about a fortnight,
I don't think he gets forgetful about a lot. He just gets forgetful about the ring. You got that ring on you?
Well, not only that, but he also gives Frodo these gifts that he had already given him.
I know, but he's giving them permanently, not here, use these. These might come.
But it specifically states in the book that's like he gave them and he forgot that he already gave them.
So Frodo receives, the
The Mithril mail,
sting,
yeah, seeing in the
mental
mail.
mail, and he gives him his papers.
Yes, that yeah. Can I say something about the Mithril mail real fast?
Mm.
I saw someone on the internet point out that for a Mithril mail armor to fit a hobbit, it most likely fit. It was said that it was probably for an elven prince.
No, Dwarven Prince.
Oh, dwarven prince. Oh, okay. Okay, this person said elf, and so they whatever they were gonna say was totally inaccurate.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking it was elven prince too. But if it was a dwarven prince, that A would make more sense. But also, so basically they were making the argument that it was probably Legolas's kid armor, but which I didn't agree with, but I thought would be funny. But yeah, if it was dwarf armor, then never mind.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all, especially since he gets that, during the five wars, the war of the five armies
Hmm.
in the Hobbit.
Yeah. So,
Um,
but yeah, after a fortnight,
well, also, wait,
um,
wait, wait.
oh, oh, well,
He also gives Sam a whole bunch of gold.
yes. Um yeah, so he gives Frodo books of lore that he has translated, but he doesn't just give Sam a bag of gold. He gives him the last unused bag of the dragon hoard that he got.
Mm-hmm.
Where like he's used it or put it other places, but this was like the last little bit that he was carrying around, and he gives it all to Sam. And he makes a cute little comment like, "In case you want to get married." Because we all know that he's sweet on that girl. And then instead he doesn't give Mary or Pippin anything except a ton of advice. He talks their ears off for hours about advice, but it's kind of mentioned that's like Mary and Pippin really appreciate it. But he does give them some proper formal pipes,
Yes.
which is really cute.
Yes.
And he asks Frodo to take over his writing of the adventures and stories, which I just wanted to like make a quick note that I think it's very interesting that that happened, and then Christopher took over for his dad as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just thought that was just an interesting parallel between that. And then it just says Bilbo smiled as he slept. And I like that for like closing those loose ends over there. I really like that a lot. And that's all I had.
Yeah, that's all I have too for the second time. Uh, so predictions for the next chapter. Oh, and
What is it called?
I just want to say, I don't know why this has got to have been one of our worst put together, thought out, remembered episodes.
It's because we read it last week and then recorded it this week.
Yeah.
And I only looked at my notes. I didn't peer through the book.
Yeah, I only looked at my notes too because that's all I had time for before we decided we were going to record.
Live and learn. But yes, so what is the next chapter called again?
Homeward Bound.
Homeward Bound. Okay.
I wish I was homeward bound.
So I'm really worried because again, there's still an alarming amount of pages left in this book. And I know there's a lot of appendices, but I still don't like how many pages there still are. And I I really have no clue. So Homeward Bound, okay, first of all, when they get to Bree, oh my god, the pony that we stan. What was his name again? Oh my gosh, I feel like a terrible person for forgetting his name. Was it Billy?
No.
No, it wasn't Billy.
Figure it out.
Okay, but yeah, I feel like they're going to meet the pony again, and Sam is going to have a beautiful reunion with him. I need that in my life. Um, and then, ooh, I think they're also gonna see Farmer Maggot again and get some mushrooms. That would be fun.
Okay.
I need a third. I don't know. Hmm. Is it wrong to think that I think Gandalf will actually keep his word and stay in Bree and not go all the way to Hobbiton, or is that more of a gimme? Because I feel like Gandalf could change his mind and go all the way with them just to like out of like, or at least he might want to just out of this like, I need to know y'all get the rest of the way safely. Like I know you know the way, but you're also real dumb.
Not anymore, they're
Well,
not.
not real dumb, but unlucky.
Not anymore,
Well,
they're not.
still, I feel like he's grown overly attached to them, and he would have this idea that he would need to see them back. But for what you're saying, because of everything they've been through, he's like, no, you're right. They're good at this point, and so he does in fact stay in Bree. Can I get away with that?
Maybe.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything else. Stan, was his name Stan?
No.
No. Darn it. Oh, okay. And that's all I had.
Yeah, that's all I have too for the second time. Uh, so predictions for the next chapter. Oh, and
What is it called?
I just want to say, I don't know why this has got to have been one of our worst put together, thought out, remembered episodes.
It's because we read it last week and then recorded it this week.
Yeah,
And I only looked at my notes. I didn't peer through the book.
I only looked at my notes too because that's all I had time for before we
Yeah.
decided we were going to record.
Live and learn. But yes, so what is the next chapter called again?
Homeward Bound.
Homeward Bound. Okay.
I wish I was homeward bound.
So I'm really worried because again, there's still an alarming amount of pages left in this book. And I know there's a lot of appendices, but I still don't like how many pages there still are. And I I really have no clue. So Homeward Bound, okay, first of all, when they get to Bree, oh my god, the pony that we stan. What was his name again? Oh my gosh, I feel like a terrible person for forgetting his name. Was it Billy?
No,
No, it wasn't Billy.
figure it out.
Okay, but yeah, I feel like they're gonna meet the pony again, and Sam is gonna have a beautiful reunion with him. I I need that in my life. Um, and then ooh, I think they're also gonna see Farmer Maggot again and get some mushrooms. That would be fun.
Okay.
I need a third. I don't know. Hmm. Is it wrong to think that I think Gandalf will actually keep his word and stay in Bree and not go all the way to Hobbiton, or is that more of a gimme? Because I feel like Gandalf could change his mind and go all the way with them just to like out of like, or at least he might want to just out of this like, I need to know y'all get the rest of the way safely. Like I know you know the way, but you're also real dumb.
Not anymore, they're
Well,
not.
not real dumb, but unlucky.
Not anymore,
Well,
they're not.
still, I feel like he's grown overly attached to them, and he would have this idea that he would need to see them back. For what you're saying, because of everything they've been through, he's like, no, you're right. They're good at this point, and so he does in fact stay in Bree. Can I get away with that?
Maybe.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything else. Stan, was his name Stan?
No.
No. Darn it. Oh, okay.
Bill the pony.
We looked it up because we felt terrible. It's Bill the pony.
So Evelyn almost got it right with Billy.
Yeah, I was close. Because we're big Bill stands in this house.
Yes. So I think that is it. So next time it's Homeward Bound.
Uh-huh.
We're getting towards the end of the actual book, not just all the appendices
Okay.
and so forth.
Okay.
So so we're already trying to plan on what we want to do
Yes,
to
yeah.
cleanse our palate before we go back and do The Hobbit, which is going to be interesting doing The Hobbit after we've already read Lord of the Rings.
Well, I think it'll be interesting because and again, we're not releasing what we're doing with the Hobbit yet because we are still trying to work out a few things to try to make it really fun and special for you guys. But for the Hobbit, even though I have read the Hobbit a ton, I think it might be interesting to look back on it now. Now that I have read Lord of the Rings and I'm almost done with it, it'll be interesting to go from that new perspective.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And maybe we won't do it chapter by chapter.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a couple chapters at a time.
But
Um,
yeah. But so what we decided to do to cleanse our palate before we get into
no,
The Hobbit.
we haven't decided. We have like three different things we're still
I
deciding.
know. Well,
You keep pitching ideas, and I keep going. Okay, let's look
no,
into
I
it.
have no. My latest idea is the one I want us to do. I want us to watch the documentary about Token and Lewis,
Okay.
and then I want to watch the movie about Token in his early life.
Okay.
All right, as part of it.
Okay. We're still working on it. We're not committing to anything because we keep changing our
Tell
minds.
us what you think.
If you guys have an idea for us, because we want to do like a mini series, like like a 2 or 3 episode type of thing in between us doing this and The Hobbit, just to kind of cleanse the palate and let me mostly just digest
Well,
it.
what's going to be interesting with The Hobbit?
Mm-hmm.
So not only has The Hobbit been very dear to me. I've used it for a lot of, I used it as a source for a lot of papers I've written.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you read it to me and Alex when we were little
Yeah,
and
but
forced the movie on.
what's really interesting about going back to look at it again is, especially after reading Lord of the Rings, we can see if there is anything that Tolkien maybe had to change.
Okay.
One thing that we do know is that when he originally was telling his kids the story of goblins, Gollum,
Mm-hmm.
is that Bilbo did kill him.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
So, so it'd be interesting to figure out how he ended up
Changing and molding the
ch-
original story.
changing and molding the original story again. Uh, Also, it's interesting too because it's really, I don't know why we got off on this, but one of the most interesting things to me about The Hobbit is this is originally a story that he told the kids.
Right. Yeah.
And that says a lot about post World War One kids. That
Yeah.
this was not,
A scary story.
yeah,
Or
because I
yeah.
mean they've lived a scarier story.
Right.
Or I mean, because I mean they weren't born yet,
Right. But it's like
but they're living in that post World War One
yeah.
war world.
Reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see that. Um and then after The Hobbit, we'll again do another little palate cleanser, and we're definitely reading the Silmarillion afterwards. But after that, we haven't quite decided. But
Oh,
seeing,
Silmarillion is going to be another 3-year project.
yeah, I know. That's what I was just about to say. Like we're gonna have plenty of time to figure that out. Cause yeah, even though this journey, I'm so sad this journey of the Lord of the Rings is coming close to an end. I've really enjoyed doing it, but I'm also excited to keep exploring more of Tolkien's works.
Yep.
Okay.
So I have been Robert.
And I've been Evelyn.
And I have been tongue tied.
And we've been talking about it. Kinda.